this is Lizzy, and today I have a thank you card to share with you. I'm using one of the new fall release stamp sets called Happy Harvest, and it's full of adorable images. My color scheme for the card was actually inspired by the beachside pint-sized pattern paper pack. I chose the High Seas pattern paper, which has this pretty navy background with the multicolored stars, and I pulled the orange color from it. And then the mint green color isn't quite in the beachside color scheme, but I thought it coordinated nicely with the colors. So those were the colors that I picked, and then I will be cutting the orange and mint green paper on a diagonal using my grid mat for guidance. So I'll mark 2 boxes down on the one side and 3 boxes down on the other side, and I'll do the same thing for the green paper. And that way each card, the bottom and the top of the card will have the same slope so that they fit together nicely on the top and the bottom of the card base. So I just have my little trimmer here, and I'm just lining up my pencil marks along the cutting edge, and we'll run that through, and then you can see the card is cut on a diagonal, and then I will do the same thing for the orange paper. Alright, so you can see how the top and the bottom fits on the card base. You can see that they both have the same slope since we measured with the grid mat. And then I went ahead and I cut a strip of that pattern paper, my inspiration paper, just to add as an extra detail along the bottom. And now I'm going to start stamping out my images to color them in. I'll be using the scarecrow image, one of the birds, the cornstalk, and then the sentiment that says many thanks. So I thought it would be fun for this card to try some no-line coloring. I did practice off camera, and I'm such a novice at it that the bird ended up just looking like a big black blob. It was awful looking. So I thought I would just color it using my regular tuxedo black image and then try the scarecrow with no-line coloring technique. So I'll just have to keep practicing. Some people are really good at it, and I guess I just need a lot of practice. So I thought it would still look okay because the bird is mostly black and it's a black outline. So you can't really tell that most of the card has no line coloring and then this little bird doesn't. So anyway, I've listed the colors that I used at the top of the screen, and I apologize for my hair. It's awfully hot here. We've had quite a heat spell. It's humid, and so I have the fans going. And so anyway, I'm just going to finish coloring that little bird in, and then I used a Copic multi-liner to just highlight the eye again and just add a little bit of the details back to the bird, to the wings. So I skipped quite a bit of the coloring, of the no-line coloring on the scarecrow. Mostly my head just gets in the way, and I really feel like I need to be over the image to see what I'm doing because it's really an exercise in coloring in the lines and having a steady hand. So I'm not really great at either. So I did spend a lot of time really hovering over the image. So there wasn't really much to see. But essentially, as you can see in with the hat and this stake or stick, you just sort of color the edges with the color that you want and highlight it as you normally would. And you just kind of have to be careful not to have that marker bleed into the extra spaces outside of whatever you're coloring. So just really have to have a steady hand. And then I think what really brings it to life is coloring back the eyes and the mouth. So again, I'm just using a Copic multi-liner just to draw in those eyes again and the mouth. And I think it really makes the image come alive. So I'm excited to keep practicing some no-line coloring. So hopefully in future cards you'll see some more of it, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better. But anyway, I encourage you to try it if you haven't. It's kind of a fun technique. Alright, so now to eliminate some of that white space between the 2 colored pieces of paper, I am adding some antique linen distress ink. It's a really light, sort of brownish yellow color. It's a really nice color. I think it's one of the staples. If you're just getting into distress inks, I think this is definitely one of the ones that you have to have. But anyway, I'm just sponging it on with one of my sponge daubers, and then I'm just sort of seeing if I've made the color go high enough. So I wanted to make it go just a little bit higher. So just continuing to sponge that on. The craft mat really helps to have the ink really slide onto the paper. So I've gone ahead and I've mounted my stamp, the cornstalk, on an acrylic block, and I'm going to be stamping it with some antique linen distressing. Now, distressing is not a good ink for stamping. It tends to be sort of splotchy, but my intention was just to have the idea of a field and sort of take away some of that white space behind the scarecrow. So it's okay if it's splotchy. That doesn't really bother me. That's not a problem for the look that I'm going, but if you did want to have it more distinct, then certainly another type of ink would be better. But just for this purpose, this distress ink, this sort of tone-on-tone look is going to be just perfect for what I want. So just finishing stamping out a few more of those images, just to kind of fill up the space. I think that's oh nope, had to do one more. And so that should be the last one. And then you can see once I put back those papers that those cornstalks really fade into the background and you don't really notice them, but they just sort of help set the scene for the little scarecrow. Alright, so you can see I did a couple extra things off camera. I die cut that thanks word die from some orange paper, and then I also stamped mini and heat embossed it on another pattern paper from the same 6x6 paper pack, just to help highlight that sentiment. And then I also colored some pumpkins just to help again set the scene, and I also did some no-line coloring with that. So just helps sort of fill up that background space. So I'm going to start adhering everything down. I've already adhered the top and bottom, the orange and the green panel, with some foam tape, and then I adhered the scarecrow also with some foam tape. I will directly adhere the pumpkins onto the card base just to help them look like they're more in the background. I'll also do that with the larger pumpkin. And then I use some foam tape to adhere that mini word, and then also some foam tape to adhere the bird. So here is the finished card. You can see it has a lot of dimension. I hope you enjoyed watching this video on how to make this colorful card using this adorable new stamp set. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.